A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John chapter 20, verses 1 and 11 to 18. Passage taken from the Message version of the Bible. Early in the morning of the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and saw that the stone was moved away from the entrance. But Mary stood outside the tomb weeping. As she wept, she knelt to look into the tomb and saw two angels sitting there dressed in white, one at the head, the other at the foot of where Jesus' body had been laid. They said to her, "Woman, why do you weep?" "They took my master," she said, "and I don't know where they put him." After she said this, she turned away and saw Jesus standing there, but she didn't recognize him. Jesus spoke to her, "Woman, why do you weep? Who are you looking for?" She, thinking that he was the gardener, said, "Mister, if you took him, tell me where you put him so I can care for him." Jesus said, "Mary." Turning to face him, she said in Hebrew, "Rabboni," meaning teacher. Jesus said, "Don't cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go to my brothers and tell them, I ascend to my Father and your Father, my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went, telling the news to the disciples, "I saw the Master." And she told them everything he said to her. The Gospel of the Lord. Reflections on the Gospel according to John chapter 20, verses 1 and 11 to 18. Today the Church celebrates the feast of the first witness to the risen Lord, Saint Mary Magdalene. She is most remembered for her Easter testimony. She is the only woman disciple of Jesus named by all the four evangelists. Being present at the crucifixion and at the empty tomb, she was an eyewitness to the ministry, death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. And she became the first messenger of the resurrection to the other apostles, which earned her the title Apostle of the Apostles. In the Gospel of John, the first words out of Jesus' mouth are a question. What are you looking for? Essentially, everything that Jesus does and teaches in the rest of John's Gospel gives an answer to that question. We are looking for the way, the truth, the life, living water to quench our thirst, bread from heaven to satiate our hunger. But those answers are partially abstract. At the end of the Gospel, we have this question repeated, and there is an answer. On Easter Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene goes out to the tomb to anoint the body of Jesus. She but finds him in a garden, the typical place where lovers meet. But she doesn't recognize him. Jesus turns to her, repeating the question with which the Gospel began, and asks her, "What are you looking for?" Mary replies that she is looking for the body of the dead Jesus. And could he give her any information as to where that body is? And Jesus simply says, "Mary." He pronounces her name in love, and she falls at his feet. In essence, that is the whole Gospel. What are we ultimately looking for? What is the end of all desires? What drives us out into the garden to search for love? The desire to hear God pronounce our names in love, to hear God lovingly saying our name. The following is a poem by renowned theologian Father Ron Rolheiser about the encounter of Mary Magdalene and Jesus in the garden. I never suspected resurrection to be so painful, to leave me weeping, with joy to have met you, alive and smiling, outside an empty tomb. With regret, not because I have lost you, but because I have lost you in how I had you, in understandable, touchable, kissable, clingable flesh, not as fully Lord, but as graspably human. I want to cling despite your protest, cling to your body, cling to your and my clingable humanity, cling to what we had or past. But I know that if I cling, you cannot ascend, and I will be left clinging to your former self, unable to receive your present Spirit.